If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. A lot of podcasters stop at this particular moment. You stop believing that it could really work, that you could really sustain income and build a business off of a podcast. That's where most podcasters go wrong. So imagine me, sophomore in college back in 2018, and I told my dad that I was about to start a podcast. I had this dream, this passion to start a TV show, and I'm like, Dad, I was super excited. I'm like, I'm about to start this show. I'm going to interview people like it's going to be a big deal. Mind you, in my heart, I was just super excited and passionate about being able to have my own show. I told my dad, God bless his heart. He said, okay, but where's the money in this? How are you going to generate income and be able to, sustain yourself off of a podcast? He said, listen, if it don't make money, it don't make sense. And when I tell you, I was crushed. I was like, oh, he's right. This is going to cost some money. I was really like, it literally stayed in the back of my mind. But I just had this drive. And I was always a child to where you tell me something, and if I don't agree, I got to just test the waters to make sure that you're right and I'm wrong. And that's what I did. I still was like, okay, Dad. I was like, let me just keep going. So I literally had, I think at the time, I saved up a little over $1,000, and I spent every dime of it on my equipment. I bought lights, cameras, stands, you name it. I said, you know what? I'm doing this show. And I sold that seed into the business because I said, you know what, God, I'm going to do this because I'm entrusting that you're with me. I'm not doing this on my own understanding. I'm doing this knowing that you're guiding me, you're leading me, and you gave me this vision. So I did it. And initially, I didn't start doing interviews. I started just doing motivational videos, right? But then over time, I gradually started to learn more about podcasting, but then it came back up into my mind. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And I said, how am I going to start a business through a podcast? At the time, podcast wasn't even that big. So I felt so lost. And there was moments where I took breaks. I said, I'm going to have to revisit this. I took a year off 1 year, and I didn't do any episodes, right? And so fast forward through constantly God just kept nudging me, like, bring it back. You still have work to do. I'm not allowing you to give up on this dream. I said, okay, God. So now I shift my mindset. I said, okay, cool. So I already have the heart posture to want to interview individuals, to learn their stories, to inspire and feed my audience. But now, how do I build a business? But not only build a business, how do I think outside the box? Because at the time, as I took those years off, there were podcasts was popping up. I said, okay, God, one thing I'm asking you is to keep me outside of the box. I don't want to be like every other podcaster. I need to be outside of the box, right? And so different things. I ended up doing my first live audience show, which was incredible. And then we ended up starting to do interviews with just other influencers, other individuals who just have phenomenal testimonies. And then I said, okay, God, there's more. I know there's more. And I think, and what I realized was a lot of podcasters stop at this particular moment. You stop believing that it could really work, that you could really sustain income and build a business off of a podcast. And trust me, I was there too. I was literally like, you know what? This isn't it. There's no way this is going to work. And I think that's where most podcasters go wrong. You stop believing in that passion that you had to start the show, and you stop believing that it has a deeper purpose, but also that it could sustain you. And so this is what I've been doing some research and just learning, if you have a business, your podcast should be an extension of that business. It shouldn't be just a platform for you to just be running your mouth and talking or, just using it as like a branding tool. It should be literally an extension of your business. So whatever your business goals are, you need to tie in your podcast goals with it. It should all align, right? And so, and let me just dig a little deeper for you. So when you make your podcast an extension of your business, you are now feeding your audience more information about what it is that you do, why you are the expert in that field. Then once you do that, your audience is like, okay, I need more. You got the sauce. You have all the information that I need. How can I get more from this person? Then you're able to start to discuss your your services, your products, things that they can do to connect with you outside of the podcast, right? I have a client right now who has a phenomenal Believers in Business community, and he has his podcast. Now his podcast, he's feeding his audience. He's talking to them, right? But he's also directing them to his community, his subscription-based community, where they get one-on-one access to him, where they're able to continue to build and thrive in their industry. Even businesses like T-Mobile. T-Mobile had 2 podcasts. One was called Uncarried, and then the other one was called Mobile Diaries. Super smart idea. So what T-Mobile did was they had some of their executives come on the show, share some of their stories, some of the pain points, some of the challenges that their customers were having. And what I really admired about T-Mobile is they told their zero story. They even shared that there was a point where they weren't one of the top leading, mobile companies in the industry. And they was okay sharing that. And not only were they able to, tell their story, really grabbing their audience, be vulnerable in that space, but they also reached customers who weren't even T-Mobile customers, people who were interested in seeing, well, what's going on with T-Mobile? What products and services do they offer? And that was simply because they had a strategic podcast that aligned with their business goals. So now they were able to reach their current customers, but even new customers who had no idea they even wanted to switch to T-Mobile. So I say all this to say, if you have a podcast, if you're thinking about starting a podcast, don't stop because you don't think it could take you far. Start digging deeper. Get outside of that box that you're stuck in. People are so worried about, I need a sponsorship. Nothing wrong with sponsors. Nothing wrong with it at all. There are just other ways. I remember this saying that there's multiple ways to skin a cat. I don't know where it came from. It sounds crazy, but the purpose of it is there's multiple ways to do things. You don't have to stick to just one way to get it done. So if you have a podcast, you want to start a podcast, and you have a business, make sure your podcast is an extension of your business, okay? It's just that simple, all right? So I just wanted to drop that to you. I hope this inspires you, encourages you, and pushes you to start that podcast today. I don't know what you're waiting on, but you have a business, you have an audience, people who want to hear more from you, people who already see you as the authority in the space. They already see you as the expert. So why not feed them? They need to be fed. Jesus said it best. He said, it's the sick that needs healing. People need you. They need to know what it is that you're offering. So go give it to them. Don't operate in disobedience. Obey and do what you're supposed to do. Use your gifts and your talents and go and feed the world, okay? All right, y'all. Your host, Mikey and Latia Barrett now. Make sure you go subscribe, like, share. Just tell a friend. Send this on over. I'll continue to give you more podcasts, just gems, and you continue to support, okay? And we'll just keep connecting. And yeah, make sure I see you next time. Bye.